now. So, okay, here we go. There we go. We're working, we're radioing, we're broadcasting, we're podcasting.
You're right. It was horrible. The rain was like ridiculous yesterday.
Yeah, it
I
never
have
stopped.
I have half a canoe of rain right now. Just every time I wanted to go outside, it started to rain again.
Yeah, but look at the lovely environment. You get to stay inside now.
Yeah, exactly. Look at that.
It didn't bother me that much.
Isn't it nice with those roofs, too, Dan? You don't hear the rain.
Yeah. Well, I liked hearing it.
Has your mind... You've been...
I didn't.
For years and years, you've been going to that trailer, probably 25 years. And you lived in the hobo shack for quite some time. Has your mindset changed now that you're in a similar tin palace like Fred?
Oh, yeah. My mindset has changed around here. Before I'd want to, after a few days, okay, we've got to go.
Because of the mold and stuff, you're breathing in mold.
Not so much. That never affected me.
I know.
I know. How much mold there was, but it was a different kind of environment, and it was a closed and it was an older trailer for sure, and I freshened it up a lot, but it was.
Oh no, you did a great job.
It was dark, and the ceilings were low. And that changed there. Having the high ceilings, it just looks like it's like a small home. It's a mini home, and it just feels wonderful being here. That's for sure.
Well, what it is, as I say, it's like a condo on the water. I mean, those trailers are as big and spacious as some condos that people buy, some studio condos people buy in the city.
Bigger than most. For sure.
Yeah, and you have all the amenities, and it's very comfortable, and again, high ceilings, so on a shitty day, to hang out inside is fine. It feels like you're at home.
Do you have television access?
I don't have a big television just yet. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to get one. There was a discussion yet to be had.
I didn't ask the size of the TV. Do you have a TV
I have
of any
access
kind?
to yes, of course, through my laptop.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, of course.
By the way, great news. Bell 5 fixed it, figured it out.
Oh, what was wrong?
I'm not. Listen, I was going to wait and address it. I think there's a couple emails, but you know what? I'm not sure if I picked any Bell 5 emails out. So I'll just say very quickly, it wasn't. There's so much construction around here. I don't know when's the last time. Well, Dan's been here recently, but Freddie, there's so many condos going up that the main box area, there was where my Bell 5 used to connect had been moved and disconnected, or was being compromised by one of the condo builds. And so a few of the people in this neighborhood that have Bell 5 had to get their access point ported somewhere else. And that turned out to be the case. It took all day for this kid. Great kid. Was here in and out of the house. And he went and was talking main office. And they had to get it moved. Anyway, in the end, it all worked out fine. But it wasn't a transmitter. It wasn't a receiver issue. It wasn't a modem issue.
It wasn't even in your house issue.
It wasn't anything to do with my house issue. Yes. So, yeah, now it works. It's weird when you've had a problem and then it's solved, and you're like, okay, well, now what do I fret about? What new fretting?
Where do I move my...
Where do I move my fretting?
Well, believe me, you'll find something.
Oh, I will.
You'll find something by the end of this day. It'll be on to something else.
I've got all kinds of house fretting to do. I've got an issue I mentioned to Dan Duran yesterday. I've got a toilet motor that stopped working, so I got to get that fixed now. But, the Bell 5 is back, and which is great because I want to watch some of the Canadian Open this coming weekend.
That's in Hamilton, right?
It is this year in Hamilton. At a golf course I've played. At a golf course I'll be playing in about a month.
I wonder if that golf course, whether the golfers can taste the sulfur in the air. Because depending on how the wind's blowing in Hamilton, sometimes you get that. You can actually sense it. So certainly that they wouldn't pick a golf course. They've had it here before, obviously, haven't they? At this golf course?
Yes, they have. And where this golf course is located, I don't know the Hamilton area well enough to describe it, but it's kind of away from the main part of Hamilton.
Industry.
Whenever
industry, yes.
Remember we had talked about that. A lot of, Pittsburgh, a lot of industrial cities would build their plants on the east side of the city because the winds are, prevail from the west to the east, and it would blow the shit out of town. But now when you get populations, grow around, becomes an issue. And that's why, you have to watch, especially in Hamilton, where you're buying. Because some days, I'm telling you, if the wind's right, you smell her.
I don't think they have quite the amount of... somebody told me this, that there's not as much industry blowing noxious fumes into the air as there once was.
Yeah, well, there was Stelco and Dofasco. I'm not sure if Dofasco's around anymore. But
what was Dofasco's slogan? Our product is steel. Our strength is people.
Yes, that was it.
Our product, Dan, you probably went out for that job, and that guy got it. Our product is strength. Yeah, our product is steel. Our strength is people. Dan's like, fuck it. I want this job. Okay, speaking of Dan Duran, why don't we pray upon him once again to begin another Humble and Fred program.
This episode of Humble and Fred is being broadcast to the world from our state-of-the-art Humble and Fred studio in Toronto, from our Brampton facility with a now-open pool, and from a trailer north of Peterborough with the Danis Duranis bust. I'm Dan Duran, broadcasting live from the Tanya Hutton Zoom Theater, and brought to you by the Retirement Sherpa, the Chambers Plan, 4-on-1, Bodog, and Lender's Choice Mortgages. And now, here are two men who have explored the works and minds of the great philosophers like Epicurus, Socrates, and Aristotle, but found they prefer the teachings of Gilligan and Barney Fife. It's Humble and Fred.
Look at Dan making some comedy on his own. Dan doing a little solo comedy. Maureen Holloway returns to our program. Longtime broadcaster, now podcaster, Substack writer, friend of the show. She guest hosted a couple of years ago. Very, very smart, funny, Maureen Holloway. And, of course, speaking of smart, funny, and wise, Timothy Niblett, Professor Nibs, will be here for our Wednesday chat about the world of retirement.
Howard,
Fred,
our pre-show meeting, that word came up, and you just used it again. What is Substack? The Fred man doesn't know. What is that?
It's another place for. It's where people have started to blog, and what they is they're. My buddy Tim has one. A lot of people have them. You would have one now instead of Canadian Thinker. You would put it out as a Substack, and what you would do is you would have some part of it free. And you would have people subscribe to it, and then you would have another part of it where the paid patrons can get the full Substack. Now, I don't. That's really. I'm just the end of my Substack knowledge.
No, I get it. Okay, it's just
it's another way to blog.
One of those things, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it a little bit more for the intelligentsia?
Not necessarily.
Oh, and who decides that?
Well, I mean, just people who like to read things because it's long form.
What do you say? You consider reading as the intelligentsia?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think so, Dan, because I know lots of people that have sports Substacks, entertainment Substacks.
And they're real stupid people?
Yeah, not the intelligentsia.
I know people that have them, and they're really fucking stupid.
I love the fact that people that read the intelligentsia. Unlike you, Dad, who does everything with his hands. He's the man of the fields. I forgot to mention this. I mentioned I was at a golf tournament on Monday. Was it Monday or was it? Yeah.
Imagine that.
With that, I met Damien Cox. I told the Damien Cox story.
Yes.
What I failed to mention was that at breakfast, the food was great. It was like imagine like one of those buffet breakfasts you get at a Travel Lodge or a Holiday Inn or a Hilton, whatever, but really, really nice. So like you got the eggs, you got the potatoes, you've got the sausages, and you've got the bacon and the toast and all that stuff. But it was really, really good food. The problem I have, though, is when I'm offered unlimited access to bacon, I have no governor.
Right.
I have no governor.
How does that affect your game?
Well, this is it. I was going to make that point, too, because, see, I couldn't do that. If I was going to play golf, I couldn't eat a bunch of bacon and a greasy breakfast because 2 holes into the round, I'd be looking for the bathroom. That stuff goes right through me.
What do you mean? Like, so you're saying like on the second or third hole, you'd be like taking a greasy shit in the bush? Is that what you're saying?
Well, or wherever I could, because same with if we're traveling, like a couple of years ago, driving down to Florida. If I get up in the morning and there's the full buffet, I really got to watch what I eat because I know I'm getting in the car for the next few hours. So I have to stay away from the bacon and the home fries and stuff.
Well, Dan, first of all, Dan, how did it affect my game? I played pretty well. The thing is, when I got there, it was clear we were going to have a couple-hour rain delay. We were supposed to start at 11. We didn't start until 1. So I had a few-hour buffer in between the bacon and the game. So, but I want to mention something to you, fellas.
Yeah.
So, part 1 of that story is I can't stop eating bacon. I can't. Like, most people take 2 or 3 pieces of bacon, and then that's enough bacon. But it was really, really good. Like, it wasn't shitty. It was really well cooked, and I'm like,
quality bacon.
Quality bacon. I kept going back. I must have had, I don't know, what would be a reasonable number? 10 pieces of bacon? Did I have that? Yeah, I did, Dan.
Okay.
I know.
That doesn't amount to much.
I know Dan's like, everything in moderation. Dan would only have 1.3. What were you saying? It doesn't amount to much, Freddie?
Well, that's not too much, Paul. 10 pieces of bacon isn't a lot of meat per se.
No, I know. But an average person wouldn't eat that. But here's the point. So part 2 of the story is whenever I'm in a group of people, I know them, a lot of guys, I'm sitting in a table, they're all round tables. So the people at my table, 2 or 3 of them are guys I know pretty well. And I sit down and I announce that I have no bacon governor. And this happens every time I eat bacon in public. What do you think happens?
You shit your pants.
I don't shit my No, that's your bit. You're spilled. Wait, Dave.
Okay, I'm just speaking from experience.
Everybody shits their pants.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Not everybody eats bacon and shits themselves. That's your piece.
Okay.
I love it when we get our wires crossed here, but no. Yeah, I sat down and I shit myself at the table.
So okay, I don't know
what do you think me, Howard Glassman, hears every time I eat bacon in front of people? Go ahead, guess. Dan, I know you're not part of the...
you like bacon.
Yeah, I know. I know you're not part of the intelligentsia, Dan, but what would you guess a guy named Howard Glassman hears every time he eats bacon? It's uni-fucking-versal. Exactly.
Yes, you shouldn't be eating that.
There was 2 or 3 different people came and went at this table I was at, and 2 or 3 of them remarked, "Should you be eating bacon?"
Oh, really?
Yes.
Very judgy.
Not judgy, but just sort of and these are people that have a couple of people that. One of the people in particular just said, this is how they said it. You shouldn't be eating bacon. Did you eat bacon? And then the question was, did you have bacon in your house as a kid? Which I thought was a fair question. And the answer is yes and no. But every one of them, every time I do it, if I'm at the golf course, if I'm at a thing, someone will say, should you be eating bacon? Because you're Jewy?
Well, along that line, whenever my mother-in-law comes here, for breakfast I make her bacon because she loves it. And for the last, probably 30-some-odd years of his life, my father-in-law, really get into this Seventh-day Adventist thing, and bacon's apparently a no-no with them. So she would never make it at home because he would find it offensive because he was full-tilt vegetarian. Meat of any kind apparently was poison to that religion. So I always make her bacon when she's over, and I don't like making bacon. It's too greasy. Like, what do you do with the grease? And you can't pour it down the drain. You got to find somewhere to put it. It splashes all over. It can burn you when it snaps and crackles. Anyway, I don't like it, but I do it for her because she couldn't have it at home. Well, I guess she could now, but we don't want her to use the stove.
Yeah, I never made. I've made it, and you're right. You described it perfectly. It's always more trouble than it seems to be worth. I mean, I got into back bacon for a long time. I like that sort of slices of ham. I don't mind that, but even pea meal bacon is a lot of work. Anyhow, I just thought that was something you find interesting.
You know what I like? It's tasty. Sometimes I just buy those, those cooked hams and slice them and fry them, and you get, you get the same effect if you fry it long enough.
No, and I agree, and that's why. Anyway, that was my little bacon story. Dan,
and it was a great one.
Thank you, and hope you enjoyed. Well, listen, it gave us an opportunity to exercise the shit yourself option.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's never a bad thing on the program.
No.
If you're new to us, what's that, Danny?
Don't you have another story to share with us, Howard?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Maybe a previous evening experience you want to bring to the fore? Something that happened last night, perhaps?
Oh, right. The date.
I'm not sure that that would be appropriate to speak about at this time.
Why?
Well, there are other people involved now.
Oh. She knows.
No, I'm teasing.
What you do now.
No, she. Well, I don't think she really registered what I did. No, I'm teasing. No, it was great. It was. It was a great date. It was fantastic. One of my. I will say this to begin with. At the beginning of this essay, it was the best first date that I've been on in a very long time.
So there was some laughter, good communication,
lots of laughter,
a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where we met at 7:30 and we closed the restaurant down. We were the last. It was like a rom-com. We were the last people in the restaurant. They were literally cleaning up as it was like close to 10 o'clock, and they were like, "Well, I guess you guys want your bill." Anyways, no, it was great. She's great, fascinating human being. I don't want to get into too much detail. Just I'll tell you boys off the air, but fascinating story of intrigue and she was a very interesting person and beautiful.
Well, I'm very happy for you that happened. I'm assuming there's going to be a repeat.
There is going to be another date. There is going to be another date.
Did she agree to that?
Oh yeah.
Oh okay.
Oh yeah.
Did you stick your tongue in her mouth at all, like at the end of the night?
Why do you have to do that? Why is that part of your?
Why do you fashion yourself?
No,
or you
why do you get
yourself as a great kisser?
I don't fashion.
Did the night end with one of your Howard kisses?
First of all, rude.
Did you probe her mouth with your tongue?
First of all, rude. We don't talk. Why do you have license to ask me?
Rude. Listen, he's talking rude.
Why do you have license to ask that question? Where do you get the license? Where's your certificate? Approved certificate to ask me that question?
Because I just look at you and I think, how is he going to react when I ask him this question?
And I haven't professed my kissing ability on the program for some time. Yes, it's true. All I'll say is it was a great night, and it was everything the last date I went on wasn't right. It was great, and it's rare when you meet somebody whose story is so fascinating that you don't want them to, sometimes we've all met people where they're telling you about where they are from and all their things that have happened to them. You're like, oh, yeah, I know, I stopped caring. But with her,
fascinating.
The lives she's lived and the things that she's gone through, I was just blown away. In fact, and then after she'd been talking for quite some time, she stopped me and she said, well, I've told you my story. Tell me yours. I go, believe me, mine is way more boring than that. And
was this a story of struggle and
yes,
and
yeah, in so many different ways. Fascinating. But as far as coming to a new land, anyway, I won't get into it because it's complicated and it's also personal. But I will say this to answer your question: no. What did you say? No, my tongue did not probe her. Whatever you said. But we did.
Did you force your tongue in?
No, I didn't force. I don't force.
Okay.
I'm not a forcer.
All right.
She said something interesting though at the end of the night because I had picked a restaurant and I had sort of planned when we would meet and a lot of times I don't know what other dudes are like with this dating app world, but at the end of the evening I walked her to her car and she said something like she said, I appreciate that you had the pants on because
what?
And I said, what does that mean? She said that you wore the pants tonight. You planned the meal. You planned the restaurant. You took care of the reservations. You had the pants on. And I said, well, I promise you this. I'm going to keep my pants on until you tell me to take them off. And she laughed at that appropriately. But I thought that was an interesting turn of phrase, that she was happy that I took the lead. And
did that include picking up the whole bill?
I couldn't have been happier to pick it up. Honestly, it was well worth it. It was fantastic.
You look at it as an investment.
Not really, but sure. Yeah, not an investment, but no, I was happy to do it, is what I said. As opposed to the last one where I was like, I was going to just send a message. Could you send me $108?
Well, that's why I say investment. Because if you'd have had a lovely evening and then the bill came and you said, well, your half is so-and-so, you may never have seen her again. Because obviously she of the thought, wear the pants, and she was glad you took the initiative. Yeah. So if you'd have gone Dutch or asked for half, you may never have seen her again. So picking up the whole tab was a good investment in the future of this relationship. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you know what? Until this moment, I had no idea. But now that you put it into perspective for me,
you're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Anyway, that's all I'll say. It was great, and I would love to see her again. And
what's her position on bacon? Did you find that out?
Mm-hmm. We didn't touch on the trivial nonsense. At no time. Here's the thing: is I realized this after. I didn't curse. I didn't say a swear. It didn't seem appropriate, but and neither did she. But no, I did say shit at one time. Because we were talking about a certain subject, and I said, "Yeah, well, everyone who believes that is full of shit." And she said, "Yeah, I agree. They are full of shit." And it was on. This was another thing we had in common. It was on one of my favorite subjects, things that I find inane. She also finds inane, which I was like, you don't hear that every day.
Does does she have a family, or does she have kids and stuff?
She has kids. Oh. She has kids. She has.
How old are the kids?
They're adults.
Okay. So you don't have to worry about that.
No, she's got 4 children.
Does she golf?
She does not.
Does she like to golf?
She does not golf. Although she asked me how many times a week I golf, and I was like, I don't know, a lot.
None of your business.
I never know how to answer that question truthfully, because truthfully, it's. Did I tell you guys, or was I telling one of my golf buddies that on this dating app I'm on, you see people's profiles and you read some of the, first you see a picture and then you read their profiles. In one of them, and you also might find this interesting, on one of them, a woman said, if you golf more than once a week, swipe left.
Is that like a no?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So obviously that person had been involved with somebody who had, golfed too much. But then I wonder, what is too much? Mm-hmm. Anyway, it went really well. Thanks for asking, Dan. I'm glad you did. It was great.
Well, I'm glad it went well, and I'm looking forward to hearing how the next date will go. Is that when? Do we know when that is yet? Or
sometime next week. I mean, she's busy. She has a job. She still works. She just turned 60, and I'm going to tell you, she's much like the ethereal Delise Patterson. She looks a lot younger than 60. And very, very sweet. Anyway, there we go. So we got to get going because we've got emails to get through. Maureen's coming on. Dan will come back, doing the news, all that stuff. And of course, Tim Niblett will be with us. One of the things, I've known you so long. I've known you so long that at some point when I was going to sleep and I knew we'd be talking about the date today at some point, I would have brought it up if Dan hadn't. I was thinking in my head, hearing your voice go, is she trailer worthy? Are you going to see her at the trailer?
Yeah, do you think she'd like the trailer environment?
She seems to me like the kind of person that would be fine in any environment. How about that?
Oh, you're smitten.
I'm not smitten. I just, you know what it was?
You're smitten.
You're smitten. No, it was nice. It was really nice. I'll tell you what else is nice. This word from our supporters.
Yeah, Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan, Canada's #1 group benefits plan for small business. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You know, it's a non-profit, which means, profit isn't the top priority, obviously, which makes it great for small business. Because once part of the chamber plan, you can be rest assured that they're not going to be gouging you with huge premium increases every year. Listen, there are increases, but they really do a good job of holding the line. And just know that once you become part of the chamber plan, you have access to so many great products. You know, the basics, the prescriptions, the dental, which everybody is interested in, priority-wise. But they have the travel insurance, and they have therapies that are available. They have the teledoc system. If something ails you, you want a specialist, they'll hook you up with the right people. Oh, yeah, I've used it. It's fantastic. You get access to, names that you wouldn't normally be aware of.
I'm sorry. I have a question, Mr. Patterson. I just didn't mean to interrupt your flow. You've used the teledoc system?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Have you now? For like what, a goiter or something? What did you call up and...
No, for a second opinion on my prostate.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes people want second opinions.
Yes, they do.
And, anyway, where was I? And again, they have an HR department. They have all sorts of things. I mean, it's a great way to go for small business. It's affordable. Go to chamberplan.ca today. Click on the badge, get a free quote, and you're on your way. The Chambers Plan.
Freddie's going to talk about the odds for the Canadian Open later. It's a big week for Canadians who play on the PGA Tour, and it was just a year ago that history was made. In the meantime, if you're thinking about making a bet, Nick Taylor, last year's winner, is a fairly long shot again, but listen to this.
Feeling stuck on the sidelines?
Hey, watch where you're walking, man.
When life gives you too much to tackle?
I'm going to need that draft tomorrow.
You know it's time to play. It's easy to find your next favorite game at Bodog.net. Get the latest sports odds and free tips to help you go all the way this football season. Visit Bodog.net today. #Make a play.
All right, let's get right to it. We're going to do some of them now, then Maureen, then some of them after Maureen. We'll get as many as we can today. It's Email Wednesdays. And who's our first contestant?
Let me see here. Well, let's start with something we talked about just a few minutes ago. Subject matter, Bell 5 issue.
Okay.
Possible solution for you. Okay, and this is from David Drosky. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Looks like you, me, and many others are having the same problem, but mine appears to be solved. Whippy! Now, Howard mentioned what his problem was and what the solution was. This is somewhat different, but it might be good information for other people that are suffering the same problem that David is. Our modem is in our rec room and about 1 foot off the floor. Apparently, the Wi-Fi signal had challenges bouncing upstairs. They called it puddling, as signals puddled near the floor and caused the picture to freeze, and the TV needed to be rebooted many times over just a few days. Like you, after several calls, we got the technician to come. He changed the location of the modem to the top or near the top of the table, about 3.5 feet off the floor. No more puddling, and it was great. All right? We experienced no further issues. Good luck. Resting heart rate 56, bowel movements like clockwork.
56 is good, man.
And that's from David Drosky. Yeah, I'd say
56 is excellent. Nice. Well, anyways, Dave, thanks for the weighing in there. I didn't have that issue. And as you said, the issue wasn't with the equipment in my house. But now that it's taken care of, all good in the hood.
Hi, guys.
This is from Julie Fleming, who is our chief correspondent political desk. Julie often sends us free articles for the New York Times, which I appreciate, and links to Twitter things that she thinks we should see. But today we honor Julie in the following. The subject line, push, push in the bush. Thank you for making me laugh out loud. Of course, she says, hi, guys, because she's not an animal.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. In a world with so many serious issues, this week has been a real doozy so far. She's talking about our show. Cheese addiction, growing ticks, bell congestion, non-delivered A&W vouchers, my girl's pussy, Trump's human scum Memorial Day message, and finally, push in the bush. And today is only Tuesday. Thank you for the much-needed laughs. Stay strong, says Julie. Stay strong. And I thought that... What a great kind of recap of what we talked about in just the first couple of days of this week.
Well, you sit down here in the morning before the show begins and you go over all the material and, stuff in the news, and you try to decide which ones you're going to use. And I guess we nailed a few this week, Howie.
Well, not only the stuff that we talked about newsworthy, but also the other nonsense, including this.
Just one pet I like to pet, and every evening we get set. I stroke it every chance I get. It's my girl's pussy. No matter what the weather's like, it's always nice and warm.
All right, we're just, you know what? The problem is no matter what our age says, we're just fucking immature. All right, let's move on. Thanks again, Julie.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Okay, subject matter, cheese addict. This is from Ed Weber. Hi, guys.
Delay.
Hi, guys.
There we go.
Regarding the lady with the cheese addiction, that was another story from this week. On the rare occasion that I overindulge in some delicious cheese, things tend to slow down afterwards. I get backed up. The highway becomes jammed, if you know what I mean. The aftermath is nothing short of catastrophic. I could only imagine the thick, cheesy deuces this woman must have produced with such a diet. Great observation, Eddie. Resting heart rate 45, blood pressure 117/68. Not bad.
That's amazing,
Bowel
actually.
movements. Oh, yeah. Bowel movements, copious. Is satisfying when I avoid cheese. Thank you, Squatty Putty. He puts it all in there.
It's all in
Way
there.
to go, Eddie.
That heart rate seems a
all
little...
in there.
As a doctor, I'm going to tell you that heart rate seems a little on the low side. Okay.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. This is from Paul Stockton, longtime listener, subject line CHAB.
Hi, guys.
Where I used to work, he says, hi, guys, a while back, you speculated that CHAB, which is actually where Dan and I worked, Lumbee and I worked, Danny Kaye and I worked, we all worked there. You speculated that CHAB is probably just airing Roz and Mocha nowadays. Because we were talking about this a while back, I guess, that a lot of these local stations are just running syndicated, regurgitated radio shows. He said, I was just visiting Regina and tuned in to CHAB 800 on your dial. You'll be happy to know it's still got local announcers. Lots of community news from Moose Jaw and surrounding towns, and lots of agriculture news. Cheers, Paul. Resting heart rate 62, bowel movements irregular.
You know, that's an interesting email.
Hold on.
Because I used to be like that whenever I traveled. Interesting. Loving radio as we do. Prior to the internet, whenever I traveled, I loved listening to local radio. But the thing is now, you can listen to CHAB right now anywhere. You know what he says? I was recently in Moose Jaw, and then he gives you an update. But again, your hometown, I mean, that could be your radio station when you get up in the morning right here in Toronto. Just an observation. I often do that. I sit there and I think of radio stations and just call them up on Google, right?
I was the same as you when I would travel, especially if it was a famous radio station. I remember the first time I was dating this woman who lived in Chicago when I lived in Calgary, and I went to visit her, and I couldn't wait to turn on WLS because it was like, oh, that famous station in Chicago. You and I, remember the story famously of going to New York to listen to Opie and Anthony. You imagine now, you would just turn them on from your home. Thanks, Paul. We appreciate that. CHAB on Main Street North in Moose Jaw.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Subject matter: is suicide selfish? Is suicide selfish? This is from Keith Weiland, frequent contributors to the show. He says, hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
This is quite lengthy, Howard.
Yeah, I know. Just summarize it. We got because here's why we got a bunch of these in a row now.
I know. I'll give you the gist of it. As someone who works in a mental health hospital and around some people who are clinging by their last thread of hope, you see the act of suicide with a different compassionate lens. I, too, always thought suicide was a selfish act, but unless you've ever been to the depths of darkness beyond your wildest imagination, it's hard to even fathom how someone could actually get there. There's zero reasoning, basically, is what he says. Every one suicide directly impacts at least 100 people, and anyone with a sound mind would never wish a lifetime of that kind of pain on so many people. But the brain thinks the opposite. This is basically what he's saying.
Right.
So you can't call it selfish because you're just obviously not thinking properly. He said, anyway, hope all this made sense to you guys. Keith. Thank you, Keith.
Let's continue on. This is from Sean Martin's subject line, Grayson Murray. He says, hi, guys. Also very long, but there's a couple of important points in there. He says, I was listening to Monday's show. Howard brought up Grayson Murray. This was news to me, and it got me to really focus on your conversation. It really got me when you mentioned Martin's streak. I'll never forget that day, as I was an avid CFNY listener for most of my life, and the same questions arose. Why? Like I've said, we're all vulnerable to such mental illnesses, as I had my thoughts when I was a teenager, like most do. Some even find success in their daily lives by becoming somewhat important professionally, or even starting to raise a family, as did I. Sean goes on to say, unfortunately, things changed 10 years ago when I became paralyzed. My life had just flipped upside down, especially with a young wife and 2 boys aged 6 and 7. As hard as it was, I continued to look forward at starting a new life. It wasn't easy, as it still isn't, but like Fred mentioned, it would feel selfish if I decided to end things. There is truth to that. Of course, I have to think of my now young men's future. He finishes by saying, I can't imagine what life would be like. I can't imagine what would be the next silly phrase. Let me start this again, because I love this. And I can't imagine what would be the next silly phrase out of your mouths other than shit, shit, poo, shit, shit, poo. I mean, I have to listen to you every day. If it's not music or comedy, life would be pretty boring. Thank you, guys. Heart rate 86, bowel movements routine. Regards, Sean Martins. And, what a great email. And not just because he loves the fact that we'll go from talking about suicide to if I shit myself eating bacon.
This is it. Yes, this is it. Yeah, this, by the way, this next email, Howard, we could have easily tossed it, but we'll read it because, it's only one person's perspective. Okay?
Hold on.
Hi, guys.
All right, please continue.
Subject matter, Ralph Ben Murgy. This is from Mike Siddage.
Yeah, Mike Siddage.
Mike Siddage.
Yes.
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Love your show, but every time Ralph Ben Murgy is on your show, I want to fucking hang myself. Speaking of suicide.
Sorry.
What a total buzzkill. Normally I listen to the podcast, and when Ralph is on, I'm usually in a Walmart. My customer.
It's a funny detail, though. I love it.
Yeah, and I suddenly find myself around the rope section of Walmart. I feel terrible saying things like this, and I'm sure he's a beautiful person, but it's a total fast forward on the podcast, sorry to say. Kind regards, Michael. You're entitled to your opinion. I think that is the small minority, because most of the people that I hear feedback from on Ralph love the segment.
Well, I like the way you prefaced it by saying, we could have tossed it, but not every, whatever we get a week, tens and tens of them, not everyone loves everything. Although everyone should love everybody. Tough topic today. Tough topic today but an important one, says our first responder, Brad Hopper. Hi, guys, of course.
Hi, guys.
Just wanted to commend you both for the discussion on suicide this week following the passing of the young golfer. It's a tough topic to cover, but it's important we don't ignore it either. Brad, of course, is a guy that runs into danger and helps people. As a first responder, I have responded to more suicide calls than I can count, and to be honest, I don't want to know the exact number. On a more personal side, I recently found myself at the funeral of a colleague and friend who opted that way out, and he chose to do so on the anniversary date of another good friend who also took his life. I mean, I'm sure in Brad's profession, the stress and being part of that world must just be overwhelming. He says, I know you'd rather be having laughs over some comical subjects. Yes, we would. But sometimes it's important to take some of these more serious topics head on. So thank you. You're welcome. Your first responder pal, Brad. And I think that says it all right there, Frederick.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, here we go. A couple more to go. I think we're getting through them.
Okay, I got to throw this back at you. Because the subject matter is deodorant marks from Mike Bertrand. He says, hi, guys.
Hold on a second, because I've switched screens now. There's too many things going on. I had to send a message. Okay, go ahead. Yes. Hi, guys.
Mike Bertrand, he says, hi, guys. You played that. And now this, Howard, is an audio.
Mike, I've got it right here. Hang on.
This is an audio submission.
Okay, sorry, Burpee. Let me just. For some reason, here's what I did wrong. I sent it to you, and for some reason thought, oh, good, Fred will play it. All right, here we go.
Hi, guys. Mike from Milton. From your May 9th episode, yes, I'm a little behind, don't judge me. You're talking about deodorant and marks. If you're talking when you put a shirt on, you might have marks down like the body of the shirt kind of thing. A trick that I found is roll the shirt just a couple of times inside out before you pull it over your head. That way those deodorant marks, when it rubs against your pits, will be on the inside.
Yeah, I didn't get this, did you?
Of the shirt.
Not really.
And then as it rolls down back to your...
No, because he's saying you roll the shirt inside out before you put it on, but then you put it on right side out and still... How do you not get the deodorant marks? And hang on, maybe there's more.
The marks are on the inside, not the outside. No one will be the wiser. Give it a try. Let me know.
Okay.
I'm sure if we saw the video of him actually doing that, we would see what he means exactly, but it's not easy to explain.
I've listened to it now. This is the second time. I listened to it early before I sent it to you, and I still wasn't sure I understood it. But thank you, Mike. We certainly appreciate it. How many more do you have?
Not part of the intelligentsia.
No, of course, intelligentsia. Hey, how many more do you have to go? I think you should. You're done, aren't you?
I'm done.
Okay, good. I have one more to go.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
Actually, we have two more to go, but we're going to save one for our guest here in a second. This one is from... This is from Chris Tonner. Subject line, you guys are pure awesomeness. And, of course, he says, hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Love the C Word episode. I find myself laughing constantly when I listen to episodes of your show. Here's another one along the lines of the jokes recently. What's the difference between Cirque du Soleil and the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders? One is a cunning array of stunts. Ha, ha, ha. I think we've had that one, but I like it. Stay strong. Vital's good for a 53-year-old. Good for you. Love you all. And there you go. Fantastic. Thank you very much to everybody that participated. And you know what? Today we got through those in record time. We didn't deal, as my dad would say, we didn't dilly-dally.
Don't dilly, don't dally. Dallied when I dilly. Are you aware of that little song?
I am not. Please sing it for me.
I dillied, dallied when I dillied. My mom used to sing that.
Oh,
song.
did she?
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, didn't they play this at your high school? Fucking
No, that was a Junie thing.
Aw, Junie. All right, let's get Maureen Holloway all settled here. Let's pop in some music here as we get ready to welcome back one of the shining lights of broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen.
Drifting through the
Somebody, someone that has been, we've admired her for years, always looking up to the ratings winners that she's worked for. We always used to daydream of the day that what if Maureen Holloway would be on our show? Then we might have ratings too. In the meantime, Maureen left the broadcast industry and has, for the last couple of years, taken on podcasting. Women of Ill Repute is the program that she hosts, but she does so much more. Please welcome back to our show the very kind and wonderful part of the intelligentsia. It's Maureen Holloway, everybody.
Hello, little people. Hello.
On Thursdays normally we did emails, but we don't work Thursdays during the summer because we're old now. So we've just been doing, just so to catch you up, we just spent the last 20 minutes going through some of our emails, and I saved an email for you. By the way, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you both? You're looking fine.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, we've reached that stage where people go, guys, you guys looking pretty good. And then you know that parenthetically they're meaning for your age.
Mm-hmm.
For your age.
Yeah, it's understood. It's understood. They mean for your age. When you and I first, three of us first reconnected was around the curious case of Voldemort, a.k.a. John Derringer. That's what we call him on the show.
I forgot. He who shall not be named.
He shall. Yeah. And we pick out like as I mentioned, we pick out our emails for Wednesday or Thursday, and we have a tradition. So it starts with this.
Hi guys.
That's our email theme. Subject line: John Derringer. And we thought we'd say this for you. It's tradition for our audience. Always starts emails with this.
Hi guys.
And the question is, do you find this peculiar? I can't believe, says Richard Bullis, that there has been no Derringer sightings or video clips on any social media. How has he managed to do this? Disgraced celebrities have to come up for air sometimes. And he goes on to say, maybe Maureen has an idea. And he finishes it by saying, blood pressure good, bowel movements good. It's a long story. It's again, our audience has a lot of inside jokes, and I would take the rest of the show to explain it. So here, his question was for you, though. Maybe Maureen has an idea, and do you?
It is shocking, to tell you the truth. Not a peep, not a glimmer. Gone from the face of the earth. And I was thinking about it because it was 2 years ago last weekend.
That's right.
That he left. That he was revealed or exposed by Jennifer Valentine's video, which came out on the May weekend. And other than I know that he was dealing with Chorus through his lawyers, and they did an investigation, and I was called upon to give my 2 cents worth. But other than that, there's been absolutely no sign of him anywhere. I mean, even the friends that we have in common outside of the industry have not heard. I don't know where he is. I don't know where his family is. He's got 3 daughters. I know one of them finished university, but not a peep. And I don't know how you do that. To your point, you got to come up for air somewhere.
Well, and we've spoke about this. The internet can be a nasty thing. I mean, his legacy is not very good on the internet. If you search John Derringer, the stories aren't very nice. So there's a degree of embarrassment there. But again, often over time, finally people, once the dust settles, here, let me put it this way. If he reached out to you and said, Maureen, it's been a couple of years, I've done a lot of thinking, can I take you out for lunch? And
absolutely.
You would do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, because that shows the type of person you are, because I guess everyone deserves a second chance.
No, I was going to say
Does that apply?
Retribution. Everyone.
I'm not saying I would work with him.
No. Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to start going to classes and stuff. But, but even the other, another disgraced broadcaster, Jean Gomeshi, has come up for air. Somebody brought him up the other day. He's doing something. But you've answered the question I was going to ask, which is you guys have in common, some acquaintances and friends, and nobody's heard?
Nobody has, or at least they haven't told me. And I haven't, I haven't asked, actually. And you kind of want to be, you don't want to show your hand. I don't want to be too curious. Likewise, now that we're talking about vanishing broadcasters, I make men disappear because my last partner at CHFI, Darren B. Lamb, disappeared.
Right.
He disapparated. Like the Harry Potter.
What?
He's gone.
Yeah, he just walked out of there one day and said, "That's enough of this business."
Never came back, and no one has heard a peep from him.
Well,
so is it me, guys? Is it possibly me? It might be me.
No.
He wasn't originally from Toronto, though, was he?
No.
Like, he could have... Was he not an American?
Manitoba.
Oh, Manitoba.
No,
okay.
he was from Manitoba.
Oh, okay.
No, he and his husband moved out west, and they're living on the coast of BC. But again, not a word in this industry. Nothing.
Well, so we reconnected. And it was just 2 years ago. And two things about that time. Because of our position as, renegade broadcasters, we were able to express a lot of things during that first couple of days after Jennifer posted the video. Probably one of the 2 or 3 biggest downloaded shows we've ever done were the shows immediately following that weekend. Jackie was on, you were on. We had a bunch of different people, but it really did, it brought us a lot of listeners. It just did. People weren't sure. They were searching Derringer, and we came up, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Humble and Fred." We thought they were dead, and we have our audience calls them, people that have listened to every show call themselves 100%ers or Hundy Ps for short. But we have a whole other cohort of listeners that are Hundy Ps since Voldemort, and that's how they identify. That they came to us 2 years ago and have been listening ever since. You, on the other hand...
I'm one of them.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was going to say,
I'm one of them.
You, on the other hand, I don't know if it was coincidental or not, but that was kind of around the time... sorry, correct me if I'm wrong. Was that around the time that you started your podcast with Wendy Metzler?
Exactly.
Okay.
It was exactly around the same time. Our first episode launched in mid-June. So, referring back to the time frame, the May weekend was the end of Derringer's time. And our podcast launched within the month. And now we'd been working on it for 6 months. But, I don't mind telling you, it didn't hurt us either.
No. Yeah, so they weren't connected. Like, you didn't decide to do the podcast. Yeah. Right.
I planned it all.
The power behind. It's Maureen Holloway pulling the strings.
One thing I would say, as compassionate people, and Maureen, you said if he called, you'd go for lunch with him. Sometime, like when I think about it and the subject comes up, I can't imagine his mind frame, what he's going through, because where he was and now what he is, and again, if you search his name, that's got to be a pretty dark place. There's room for hey, man, there's some room for compassion.
Absolutely.
There,
Well, he's a leopard who's changed his spot several times. As a human, I have a lot of admiration for him, both as a broadcaster, a talented broadcaster, and for somebody who has reconstructed himself. He's struggled with addiction for years. He's done an awful lot of work. Obviously not enough, but he's done an awful lot of work to find a place where he can live with he's got, by I'm sure a lot of people's standards, a successful marriage. Who are we to say he's not a good father? I know that it seems to be at odds with his history of the way he treats people, women in particular. But he's not unfamiliar with himself. And I do, to your point, Fred, I have thought quite a few times, what must it be like for him?
Sure.
It must be agony.
Yeah.
It must be a terrible place.
I'm with you on the fact that, I know a little bit about John's struggles. I was there a long time ago at one of John's chip ceremonies. So I can relate to a lot of it. Yeah, that's a whole other story. But anyway, and I too have thought, like, what must day-to-day life be like for someone like that? And And there are, people do love a second act or a third act. They love a retribution story. And who knows, we're all going to be around hopefully a long time. Maybe there will be a time when John Derringer resurfaces. That being said, let's go let's bring everyone up to date. The podcast is called Women of Ill Repute. And Wendy Mesley and Maureen host this. Maureen also has a Substack, which I brought up this morning because I thought Fred would be interested in the fact that you're going through some kind of home renovation where all your shit's been taken out of your house.
All my shit's gone. Oh, well, do you know where I am right now? And I apologize.
No idea.
I didn't bring my headset or my microphone so that you're getting room noise. I'm in my son and daughter-in-law's house, their new house, which is actually up the street from ours. And I'm in my daughter-in-law's office because, yes, we are unhoused. It's not even a big renovation. It was just doing the floors, the main floor. But that is a move. Everything had to go. And it's going to take 2 weeks. So we're, it's fun living with your kids. I want to leave all my clothes
that's great
on the floor. I want to leave the
don't put your dishes in the dishwasher. Just leave them in the sink.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Lights on.
I have too much respect.
Yeah, lights on everywhere. Cupboards opened.
This renovation, it's been my experience. If they tell you 2 weeks, it's 4 to 5. Have you experienced that?
No, it can't be.
Well,
no, I have, but it's just the floors.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the floors. They're being refinished, so they're not even being ripped. Don't frighten me like that.
From Maureen's from the Substack. I love this line. Maureen says, the piano left last Friday, grandly escorted out by 2 men who spoke no English and arrived and left in a rental van. I'm sure it will be fine. So let's talk about the world of podcasting, and you're the latest in a string of great broadcasters that have become regular podcasters versus a lot of broadcasters we know tried it out and went, wait a minute, this is too hard. It
is hard.
It is hard. So I wanted to talk to you about your experience continuing to create content, both written and spoken.
Yeah, the podcast is it's so we're close to 100 episodes. So
wow.
I never thought we'd get this far. Honestly, I was humoring Wendy. I don't care who knows it. She said, let's do this. And I was like, yeah, you know what? We'll put out 6 episodes and we'll get sick of it. But she is a workhorse and we don't even live in the same place, right? I mean, she's in either Prince Edward County or she has another house in the Eastern Townships, living a very nice life. So we don't even see each other other than the way we're seeing each other right now. But it is a tremendous amount of work and we love it. But we're at that sort. We're going to take a break for the summer. We have been churning this stuff. You guys know it's work. And we've been putting out episode after episode without hardly a break for 2 years. So we're going to take July and August off because we need a break. And also, I'll be honest with you, it's financially demanding. I don't know who's making a living
other than
as
us,
a podcaster. Well, I know yours is a podcast, but yours is a show. I mean, you're other than Thursdays, you're daily. I think that makes a difference. I don't even think of, I know we can download you, but I think you have live listeners, probably more live listeners than you do.
No, we have, we have a ridiculous amount of downloads, way more than the people that watch us live. Yeah.
Is that part of the frustration? When you started the podcast, part of the sort of business plan was we will monetize this and it'll make sense from a money standpoint. And that's been...
Sorry. It was only that it should pay for itself. It's expensive because we're not a production house. So we have sound off producing, which basically they edit it. And we have a chase producer, Yet Belgraver, who used to work for Al Jazeera. And she gets our guests for us. And she's phenomenal. She, by the way, lives in like the wilds of BC. Our production guy, Matt Kundle, is in Winnipeg.
Right.
I'm in Toronto.
Right.
Yeah, you know that. Wendy is in, wherever she is. We have a social media person because we're hopeless at that. And she's in Montreal. And so all those people get paid, and we make enough to pay them, but we've never made a penny ourselves. But it's not, Fred, to monetize it. And, you know, I hate to sound so grand about it. We don't exactly need the money, but it shouldn't cost us either.
Fred, your camera's gone down all of a sudden.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, but
let me fix that.
So, Maureen, but you are at least not losing money on it.
Well,
it sounds like.
If we don't get another sponsor, to be absolutely honest with you, if we don't, we're running out of money around the same time that we've decided to take a break.
Right. Okay.
And we have a sales rep, Jordana Katz. I don't know if you know her. She's fantastic. And she's working on a number of things. But you do know Jordana?
Yes, of course.
Okay, of course you do.
No, from she was in radio. She was.
Yeah, she's at Indy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So she goes out and I mean she's done well. We've done well by her, but if we don't get another sponsor over the summer, then we will be out of pocket. And after 2 years, that's not where we want to be.
Sure.
That being said, you know, the numbers are good. The guests are fantastic. Everything's going well, except it is not. We're also, Wendy and I, at this point in our lives, we don't need to pad our resumes, right?
Right.
Yes.
So, yeah. I think we both show a lot of promise.
Well, that's what Fred and I we're still doing it after 2,500 episodes. We're like, hopefully this will get us a real job.
Right?
Yes. Other than that, Maureen, how is your health? You're a breast cancer survivor.
My breast is great. Which one?
Is it? Very good.
Excellent. Do you have a
my
favorite?
My health is great. I have. The question is, which one's the good one?
Yeah.
One that you still have.
But do you still? Is it still a worry? Is it still somebody that's gone through what you've gone?
I had an MRI 2 weeks ago.
Right, and is
I'm still being.
Every 6 months you go in?
Every mammogram every year and an MRI every year. It's been 18 years.
Wow.
But they still keep an eye on me because it was such a weird form of cancer. But no, I'm like you guys. I got other problems. I tore my Achilles in January skiing, so I'm never going to do that again. Ski. Because I'm still hobbling. That can change your life. I was in a cast for 3 months. But other than that, no, John and I are great. John's starting a new job next week. I know.
Wow.
Who starts a new job?
To be clear, Maureen is not married to the other John. She's married to a guy named John.
Oh, no.
It's like, to be clear, the big reveal, Mrs. Derringer is with us.
No, my husband John is starting he's left Rogers, as all good people must. And he's starting a new job with Scotiabank on Monday. And so we're going sailing. We're going to Greece for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Nice.
And what else can I tell you? Yeah, that'll be nice. A weird thing happened to my son, my younger son, this year, which I don't think I'll ever recover from. So Ronan is just finished his last year of law school. Really smart kid, and he took part in an MRI, a study at Sunnybrook last October. Just routine. It was a study into electroconvulsive therapy for chronic depression. He was in the control group, so does the MRI for a friend of his, and then they get in touch with him at the end of January and say that they found something on his brain. They were only going through the data at that point, and that he had an inflammation. So we go in to see the neurologist. He's referred to a neurologist, and we all go in, his girlfriend, and we just all huddle into this office, and he's completely freaked out. And they put him through 3 hours of testing, and they find nothing. All his reflexes are fine, and from what they saw on his MRI, they felt that there had to be something very serious. So they book him for another MRI, which of course is a month away. And during that month, it was the worst month of our lives. I mean, I've been through health problems, but when it's your kid. So he went and had the second MRI. There was nothing there. There's nothing there. Everything was fine. But as a result of that, he started having headaches. And bad headaches and dizziness. And so we went through all that. Again, referred back to the neurologist. and who again examined him. And she suggested, and this has changed the way I think, talk about mind over matter, that he was creating neural pathways. It was what we call psychosomatic. His headaches were real, but they were caused because of his anxiety.
Because of the worry,
which
yeah.
caused him headaches, which caused him anxiety. Sorry, what's that?
Because of the worry, yeah.
Anyway, he's fine now. Once they told him, this is not real. I mean, it's real that it's manifesting itself, but there's nothing in your brain to worry about. Once they told him that and convinced him of that, he's fine.
Isn't that
wow? Going through breast cancer as you have, even though it was 18 years ago and you still have to be checked out, and your kid going through that really changes your perspective on life, I guess. Like, like, honestly, I can't relate to that. I can't imagine. Even that month going through with your kid and finding out things are fine, it's still, during that period, how you look at life, it's wow.
Yeah. Well, you just really, this is all we have, This is all, your life can change on a dime, and
right.
We're so happy. I mean, I didn't realize how happy we were.
Exactly.
The things that bothered us are minor, and it's just a reminder that your life can and will change on a dime.
Absolutely.
Whether it'll be you or someone you love. So make hay while the sun shines.
Well, listen, my friend, you are a ray of sunshine in a bleak and dark world. As you know, we think highly of you here. Maureen Holloway, the Women of Ill Repute. When will the final episode before you go away for a couple months? When are you going to do that?
Please listen. We've got George Stroumboulopoulos, Canada's boyfriend, as our guest this week, and we have another about 5 or 6 really good. Like, they're all great. They're my children. Each episode is wonderful. So we'll keep putting them out every week until I think the middle of July. But the portfolio is there.
No, exactly.
Through it.
Available wherever fine podcasts are sold, and Maureen's Substack, which I subscribe to and read with interest each and every time it's put out. Thanks, Momo. We appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you.
Good
nice
to see you,
Maureen.
Maureen.
You're a lovely human being.
Likewise.
Thanks, pal. Hey, Freddie, before we get to Tim Niblett, let's do a little more business here with some of our sponsors.
We're talking about Nick Taylor. To give you an idea, at the Canadian Open, Rory McIlroy, the favorite, at plus 400, and then Tommy Fleetwood, plus 1,600 second. So let's go down the list. Nick Taylor, way down the list at plus 5,000. So even though he's the defending champ and he's had a pretty good season, I guess, is that fair to say? He's not anywhere near the favorite for this tournament. But who knows? Did it last year? Why can't you do it again? Whether you're a sports bettor, a horse racing fan, a poker casino player, Bodog, your number one source of online gambling entertainment, from their industry-leading odds, world-class sportsbook, to their fully loaded casino and racebook, they've been providing Canadian players with an unparalleled gaming experience since 1994. That's Bodog.
Just give me a second here. I have to send a message to our next participant. Bodog, great work. And of course, we're going to talk to Tim Niblett here in a second about, getting a look at your portfolio and second opinions and stuff like that. But of course, that also applies to Mike Kazarian, one of the broker owners of Lender's Choice Mortgages, part of the Mortgage Alliance, license 135A2. And of course, more importantly, what Kaz and his team can do for you as a customer, even if you're already thinking, I'm going to go to the bank, before you do it, at least have a conversation with Mike. He's been in all sides of this game for a very long time and understands not just rates and not just terms, but he understands options. And that's what you get when you use the mortgage people at Lender's Choice Mortgages. Not just the same old. They have all kinds of access that a single person may not be privy to. And they'll find a solution for all your mortgage financing needs. Mike at lenderschoice.ca, or just go to lenderschoice.ca and find out more. before we get to Niblet here, Maureen said something, and I think she's hit on why you and I don't get. I don't even want to use the word respect, but I think you'll know what I mean when I say this. We don't get put in the same category as other people that do podcasts because we started out so early in the game doing this thing that we do. And as she said, I think of you guys as a show. But we've been a podcast longer than most people that do podcasts had heard of what a podcast was. Mm-hmm. It's just that we did it this way, like it was a show. So I think we don't get the same, again, credit, respect. We're not in, at the very least, we're not in the same category as those people.
Yes, I think next week here in Toronto, there's a huge, and I don't even know the name of it, some podcasting conference where there's all sorts of, what do you call them? Seminars.
Yeah, like the old radio conventions we used to go to.
Yeah, and it was funny because then I'm reading the profile of it, and all the things that they're going to tell potential podcasters are answers that we could give based on our longevity. And I thought, that's odd that maybe somebody hasn't reached out and said, hey, could we get your perspective? Don't get me wrong. I don't want to do it, and I don't want to go down there, and I don't want to be part of it. But it's honestly, I don't.
No,
but it's just interesting that somebody is saying, these guys have been doing it for a while, and they've made it work because monetization is always a huge part of those seminars.
No, I know. No, I'm the same. Like we're classic. Like we don't want to go, but we want to be asked.
Yeah.
But I think Maureen, that to me crystallizes why we're not part of that community because they don't think we are. And,
yes.
And even though I used to say this as a joke on the show, Canada's most uploaded podcast, but it is by a shit ton. Mm-hmm. We've uploaded more of these episodes. The next in line would be Toronto Mike. So I don't know. That's it. That's why we don't have the same. We're not. I don't even want to use those other words again, but we're not in the same category. I'll tell you what we have done is we've partnered with people like Tim Niblet, for God's sake.
Oh,
yeah, here we go. Timmy's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Here comes Timmy. Here comes the Tim. Tim. Here comes the Tim. Timberly Niblet is here. Hello, Tim.
Good morning there, gentlemen.
Yeah, man. Tim Niblet is a portfolio manager. That's not everyone gets to do that. That's a big thing. And you can get a hold of him, tim.niblet at raymondjames.ca. And have access to all the stuff's going on in his giant brain.
And a CIM and a CFP and a CHFS and a full insurance license. I don't know how it all fits up here, man.
That's too
probably
much.
Why the memory's going.
Sounds like a bunch of radio stations.
That's right. That's right. I've worked at a bunch of stations, too. I just don't tell everybody. Nibs is back, and good to see you. Happy, healthy, kind as usual. When's the last time I ran into you? Was it Saturday during the rain when it pissed rain on us?
Briefly on Saturday, yeah. That beautiful sunny day we had at the golf course on Saturday, yeah.
How many holes did you play before they called us off?
Well, I had 5, but I took about 7 holes worth of shots, I think.
Yeah, we were on the 3rd hole when the horn rang because there was lightning in the area, and that was the end of the day. But you know what? It's so rare for it to be raining here in Toronto in the springtime. I mean, let's talk today about this survey of Canadians about finances and what people have found.
Well, funny you should ask. I mean, it ties in quite nicely to our little second opinion, no cost, no obligation, take a look under the hood, all that stuff. So the Financial Planners Council of Canada, the CFP, that's our version, Charter Financial Planners, they do surveys on a regular basis and found, probably not surprisingly with what's been going on in the world and with inflation and COVID still in the rearview mirror, thankfully. But Canadians are under more financial stress now than they have been in the last 4 years.
Yeah, And when you say stress, you mean stress not only well, that's two-tiered, right? They don't have enough money, and it's causing mental stress.
Right, absolutely. Just as simple as losing sleep, which isn't necessarily simple because that has a lot of manifestations in other things. People who have a CFP on their side are 22% less likely, according to the survey, to lose sleep. But yeah, depression, anxiety, lots of serious stuff going on. Thanks to money or lack thereof.
Well, let's not gloss that over because the first number is 44%. Of Canadians say money is their primary source of stress. But as you just said, those with a planner are appreciably less worrisome or worry less than those who don't have a planner.
Yeah, there's a big difference on that. And that'd be the same in any other area of life, right? If you were your own physician or own lawyer, I mean, some people, Howard, can be their own doctor. But
exactly, thank you.
Right?
Yeah, not everyone has my skill. But I find that fascinating and interesting that just by having a planner or a Sherpa on your side, it really can reduce your anxiety. By the way, and I have the infographic you sent open. What's also fascinating is that, Fred, financial stress is almost twice the amount of stress that Canadians feel over personal health, work, and relationships.
Yeah, well, it's got to be a hopeless feeling. I mean, seriously. I mean, obviously, there is hope. There are ways out of it. But, I was reading an article yesterday that more Canadians now than ever pay just the minimum on their credit cards each month. And just think what that would do to somebody. You're paying the minimum, but each month it's just accumulating, getting bigger and larger. And I guess, Tim, sometimes when you deal with people and you're setting out a plan, I mean, that's part of it, right? You have to get debt under control before you can start moving forward.
Well, I mean, credit cards especially, right, Fred? I mean, they're very high to begin with. Certainly in current situations, they're, I presume, higher. I thankfully don't have to worry about that. But anyhow, just a discipline. But yeah, I mean, you're not making that much on your investments, right? If you're paying double digits interest on a credit card. So the challenge with that though is it's a habit, right? And I've had clients in the past take money out to pay a credit card bill down. I said, no, that's not what it's there for. Like you're supposed to take, because human nature being what it is, you pay the darn thing down and then you just ride it back up again anyhow. Right. So that's the core challenge is, exceeding our means or whatever. But yeah, in all likelihood, if you've got some high credit card debt, that's, as long as it's solving permanently, not just perpetually, that should definitely be a priority. Absolutely.
This next part will lead to the idea, again, stressing a second opinion. One of the other interesting statistics in this survey of Canadians and financial information, 43% of Ontarians have tracked expenses to reduce financial stress. Which kind of leads to the idea, if you're not aware of, and you've said this for years now, people would rather not have these conversations. They would rather ignore it, hoping, if they don't get too deep into the weeds with their money, that it will somehow magically solve itself. But tracking your expenses or having a Sherpa look at your expenses and see what you can afford, those do reduce stress.
Just any action, right? Any positive action towards what you are working towards. Well, one bit of numbers I found incongruent was that 91% of Canadians are taking action to reduce the stress, but yet it's higher than in the last 4 years, and 44% are still stressed. So it seems like 47% aren't taking the right actions if they're indeed even doing things. So that's super important too with the coach in any area of life, right? Where are your priorities? Where are the hot spots? Where are the things you've got to deal with? Well, one thing we do, it's kind of related, not directly, is we track what the average Canadian has in their portfolio. And to oversimplify, it's too much in Canada. I mean, we're only 4% of the world, if that, market capitalization wise. Yet, the average Canadian will have 40% in there, 40% bonds, which have definitely been a roller coaster lately with the interest rate changes, and only 20% outside of Canada, and our methodology statistically just blows it out of the water. We just emulate what works with pension funds, endowment funds, Yale Endowment Fund, Canada Pension Plan, whichever, and that brings a lot of peace to people, thankfully.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it always gets back to, too. Because I mean, even now, I talk to people, and when you talk about investments and stuff, I'm surprised at people in their 50s and 60s that, you know, they might have pension plans or whatever, and they got some money on the side, but they just seem to be afraid of looking at their finances that way or investing in case something goes wrong. It's just it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
It's an education, obviously,
and you can get an education and a second look if you employ the OG Sherpa or Sherpa J. And get somebody to at least have a look at it. We've been talking about this now for a couple months, how important it is to at least have the conversation. And how do they do that, Tim? They just get a hold of you, they hang out, and it's a great time.
We do have fun. We figured out a long time ago we may as well have fun first and then work in there somewhere along the way, right? I got to give a quick shout out to our pal Mike Bootman, who apparently is going to be turning 50 soon. I heard through the grapevine.
That's right.
And I referred him to another advisor in British Columbia with us, with RJ, and he does a lot of cross-border stuff as well, and he just thinks Mike's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So look at that. Howard and Fred hit in so many ways there.
Hands across the country. Thank you, Tim. Tim.Niblett at RaymondJames.ca. I'll see your smiling face in a couple hours at Ladies' Day. And looking forward to having you on whenever you have time. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks as always, guys. Enjoy and profit all.
Okay, buddy.
So you're saying that if they invited us to Podfest 24...
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I just made that up.
Oh, okay.
You know me. I'm always making shit up. You wouldn't go if I said, hey, come on, let's go to Podfest or whatever they fucking call it.
Oh, if you were poking me with a stick or something, I guess. But generally, no. No. Drive downtown, go in that environment. I don't know.
Well, here's what we would do. You would come here. You leave your car at head office. We Tesla downtown in style. Mm-hmm. Hang out, walk around like the big shots that we are. Oh, I want to go to Podfest.
See, a lot of those too. I don't know if that costs money to go, but it's like Canadian Music Week and stuff like that. Those are big. That's big business. You know what I mean? That's a business. That's not a service per se.
Well, at least at Canadian Music Week for a very long time, we were always asked to come and speak, to be part of panels, and we would sauce around the bar area, and the young DJs from across the country would find out that you were Humble and Fred, and it would be like, oh my God, and they would be thrilled. Now we're just like two old fucking apple. We're like two old apple witches. People just have thrown aside. Oh yeah.
Well, I have to wonder what that Canadian Music Week. I believe it still happens.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of radio stations, radio companies, right? They would buy a bunch of passes, distribute them to their announcers, and people could either share them and go down for a day or two. And but radio stations are so thinly populated now. I wonder how all that works, and whether radio companies even want to make that expenditure. Somebody's
still going to those things because they still have them.
They have them. I guess. Who knows?
Dan Duran has returned. Dan, are you aware that there's another pod convention that has once again snubbed the great Humble and Fred?
I just read in broadcast something or other that there was a podcast convention, but I didn't know you guys were snubbed.
Is it called Podfest? That's what I'm calling it. Is it Podfest 24?
Sure. Why not? It would have the word pod in it, wouldn't it?
I'm not sure.
I'll bet you Mike Boone's going. Mike Boone will be going to that.
He probably. Well, yeah, we should wait until he comes back.
Yeah.
'Cause he'd be on the top of that.
He'll be all over that stuff because he's see, there the thing is, he's pod royalty, and Fred and I, who have grinded out more episodes of this thing than anyone else that's ever done a podcast, we are just apple witches.
I believe it's called Soundwave Summit.
Okay.
Okay, featuring independent Canadian podcast creators. Enjoy discussions, workshops, live performances, and networking opportunities. Okay? Sign up to reserve your spot so you can become part of Soundwave Summit.
Yeah? Well, I know what I'm going to be calling it from now on. Soundwave Suck It.
Soundwave Suck It. That's a great
Did you not
attitude.
get an invitation? Is that what you're worried about?
Dan, we are not even... Here's the thing about our program. It's not even considered a podcast. Maureen Holloway, who was our guest this morning, when she said something about... It all came rushing into my addled brain that's one of the reasons we're not part of Soundwave Suck It, because we're not considered a podcast.
Well, by who? I mean, you obviously
by the
are.
podcast intelligentsia.
Well, the intelligentsia.
The intelligentsia once
I'm
again
sure
snubs us.
Well,
I'm sure there is.
Howard, I would counter that with the arguably the most popular podcast in the world is a daily feature. Joe Rogan.
There you go.
So, I mean, there's many ways to look at this.
But the way stuff in Canada happens, I mean, you've got, if you're going to go to that, you've got to, they just don't, pursue, people. They just put it out there and want people to come, kind of thing. I think that's and you have to submit yourself in some way.
But they're running it like a business. You it's like any convention. You buy space on the floor. It's a money making proposition. It's not a charity. We're just wondering if you've got speakers and conferences and who's its and doodly doos. Oh, by the way, Dan, before I forget, I think I screwed up.
I would love to put together a workshop. Anyway, go ahead.
Would you? Dude, you can't even get the fucking energy to drive here putting together a workshop.
Oh, no, a workshop would be different. I would put together a workshop.
I think a couple weeks ago I screwed up and somehow... Did you ever do the Nancy McLeod Elders Zoom Theater?
No, I don't think so. Nancy McLeod? No.
Yeah, Ray, because... Yeah,
I'm keeping track, but...
Well, according to Nancy, we didn't do it. We had chosen her, and for some reason...
who did we do instead?
I can't remember.
No, it was only 2 days that day. Maybe she's... Remember, it was a very short week, the week that it was that. And I remember Dan saying that.
Dan, can you go back and is there do you have any copies?
I constantly update my file that I'm doing this. I don't keep
well,
a list.
We're going to look.
Keep a list. I will.
Well, you know what? No, but would you do this? Because I will forget. Can you go back? And she says it was the week of May 16th. We were so excited to hear that the show's the following week. So what was the following week?
Wow.
Of May 16th, the following week.
Would be the 20th.
The week of the 20th. So no show. Yeah, there was only 2 shows that week. The 21st and 22nd. So she says, we were excited to hear that the following week would be coming from the Ray and Nancy McLeod Elders Zoom Theater. And listen with great anticipation and excitement, but sadly, that never happened.
I think I remember saying that, though, because it was a long...
Yeah, what a disappointment. I mean, I would just have to... is Boone checking in today? Maybe he's listening right now to those shows to confirm.
Yeah, Boone is checking in, and I don't know. He might be... I don't know what he's doing. But maybe
I'll keep track of him from here on in. But maybe he can go back and find out as producer what shows we've already done.
Do you want me to do that right now?
Well, yeah, that would be great if somebody did it.
Okay, so I'm keeping from here on in. I'm keeping track. So Tanya Hutton is the one for this past week, and now
that thing is, if we didn't do it that week, but I'm with Freddie. I think we did, but I think we only did 2. All we have to do is somebody has to listen to it, because before I had already picked out somebody else today.
All right. So what are we doing?
Well, here's what we're going to do. We're gonna kill some time here, and we're going to check.
Well, you have to listen to other podcasts to get it, right? No, is that what Fred's doing?
I think Fred's doing that right now.
I am. Okay, I just got to...
But, the problem is you can't listen to the start of the show because it takes us, 20 minutes before you start sometimes.
So it's the end of the show you have to listen to. Yeah, okay. So anyway. Well, I'll keep track from here on in as things go. And, yeah. There we go. So that's... Well,
we're gonna. I have written down another name, but if we haven't done it, then we're gonna pay our debt or make our promise or whatever.
Right. Okay.
Okay. While we're doing this,
are we doing a 3-day week next week? By the way.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I don't know if there's any golf things going on, because that's the
whole thing. No, next week I think we're doing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay, it's good to know.
It's a lot. It's a lot of shows.
There's some shows in there that we got to do, and we'll do them. Okay,
and maybe by then we'll get a chance to get an invite to Soundwave Suck It Summit. Maybe that's what will happen. Are you still listening to the show? Have you not gotten? All you have to do is go to the end.
Hold on.
You're playing for the audience. That's fun.
Your professional voice actor.
Oh, here we go. Me making mistakes.
That could be any day, though, Jeff.
Let's try it again.
I just about did a spit take there.
In the trailer next to you. Right.
Come on.
Once again, Dan Duran.
Fuck.
This episode of Humble and Fred is being broadcast to the world from our state-of-the-art Humble and Fred studio in Toronto, from our lovesick Lake Mobile facility with a view of the Kawarthas, and from a trailer next to it with the Dennis Duranis bus.
Didn't.
I'm Dan Duran, broadcasting live from the Leanna M. Scott Zoom Theater. And
Yeah.
brought to you by...
We didn't do it. We did the Leanna M. Scott Theater. He just said it.
Because that was the Tuesday. That was the 21st.
So, Dan, starting today and for 3 days next week,
right,
we'll be coming to people from the Ray and Nancy McLeod Elder Zoom Theater. And just to make it more complicated, with a special theater adjacent to the Sean Martin's lobby or something. Just throw Sean Martin's in there because he had a great email today.
Why don't we just wait till next week for Sean?
Because there'll be new emails next week.
All right.
We're going to double it up, Dan. I know this is a lot for you. So live from the Ray and Nancy McLeod Elder Zoom Theater featuring the ornate Sean Martin's lobby or something. You're in the theater business. Make something up.
Sean Martin's lobby where we keep the lights low. Mm-hmm.
That's right. You throw some theater stuff in there. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Featuring who's
Sean Martin's.
Sean Martin's.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. This has been another. Maybe this last 10 minutes is why we're not invited to these things.
So that name that we just heard that I played for you that he was using, was Leanna that from a week before and just carried it over or something?
No, I think I don't know. If that was the 21st,
it was a fuck up.
It was a fuck up. All right. Well, in the meantime,
we have fuck up.
Let's get to this.
Now, here's to a fella named Dan Duran, a hell of a guy with a hella big wang, the quintessential anchor man. His voice is nice and low. Ho! Dan Duran, the anchor man comes. As for credentials, he has none. Can't tell a headline from his bum, but his voice is nice and low. Dan Duran, the anchorman's here. He's prone to falling off his chair, but he's got a big wang, so he don't care, and his voice is nice and low.
My voice is nice and low.
Dan Duran News today brought to you by Boron One. This company supports us. We support them. If you're looking for an investment opportunity, we make no claims about stock prices, but As far as junior mining companies go, this one's doing great guns, I tell you, great guns.
Guns.
I say great guns.
Great gun.
Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. Please take a look at this and maybe a great addition for your portfolio, boron1.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, live from the palatial trailer next to the Tin Palace in beautiful downtown whatever the hell, here's movie anchor and television series regular, Daniel J. Giebert Duran.
Well, great guns. They renamed a park in Etobicoke after Doug Ford. Trump is now asking for $25 million for a lunch date. And climate change deniers in Texas in a punishing heat wave are now out of power due to a hurricane-force storm that's going to happen again in a couple of days. But let's get naked. I did not know, under the things I did not know, Toronto has a world naked bike ride.
What?
And Naked News is still around.
Mm-hmm.
The World Naked Bike Ride is an international clothing-optional bike ride to celebrate cycling and the human body while demonstrating the vulnerability of cyclists on the road and is to protest against car culture. Anyway, it kicks off next Saturday at Toronto's Coronation Park and will include Naked News anchor and fitness buff Isla Adam. Yes, Naked News is still going after 25 years. 15 of those, Isla has been taking her clothes off while reading news. And will be riding naked on June 8th.
Now, what's the route for this ride again?
I didn't.
Where's this happening?
I didn't map it out. But I'm sure it's from Coronation Park. It'll, kind of go around the city.
Yeah, that's a lot of squishy business against that seat.
Yeah,
that's all I know.
Wouldn't that be hard for a guy?
And a girl, too. And a woman, too, because their squishy business will be hammered against that nub.
No, I know, but would that be worse than having your big sack crushed against the...
Big sack paddywhack?
Yeah.
Give a dog your bone?
Mm-hmm. Although, Dan, if you were in that, you could put your dick in the spokes and it would go... just like a motorcycle. Yeah.
That's right. You could pretend you were in a parade. No, you know what Dan would do? Dan would put his dick inside where the water bottle thing is. Just let it hang in there.
Tuck it in, yeah.
I can't believe they're still doing Naked News after all this. Because you can see naked people pretty much anytime you want.
Right.
Why does there have to be Naked News? Who's watching that?
I don't know. I remember, my father-in-law from years ago, that he showed us guys one day. He showed us Naked News. And I went, what? That's weird coming out of, a father-in-law. And then also that it was like happening. But I thought that would have gone away years ago because, the novelty is really someone taking their clothes off while reading the news. I mean, you see it once or twice and go, okay, well, I got that.
Yeah, that's what she looks like naked.
But, Howard, we had a Naked News newscaster on the show when we were at the Edge.
Yeah, when they launched, they came in and came to our program as a way to promote it. Dan, you've done weather, and of course you're a renowned news anchor, fake news anchor. But would you do Naked News?
No. Well, it depends on how much they pay.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Daniel. If they meet your rate. And you'd probably get double or triple scale considering, your pointer or whatever that is.
I demand to be paid by the inch.
That's right, Dan. Your agent calls and goes, Dan, I'm getting you triple scale and your dick's getting quadruple scale.
Can I just say something Dan said in the news, and I'm... off the top there, and I'm very glad, the Etobicoke Stadium being named Rob Ford Stadium. I'm so glad...
Doug Ford.
Doug Ford. I'm sorry.
Rob.
No, Rob Ford. What are you talking about? Rob Ford.
Oh, it's Rob Ford?
Yeah, Rob Ford.
I got it right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Rob Ford. Yeah.
Only politics was pushed aside because, in this era of, appreciating people's struggles and, having compassion, and we said it through the Derringer thing, that they push politics aside because he did a lot for kids at that stadium and in Etobicoke for sports, and it's just nice that they could look at that and say, you know what, he probably deserves this. The man had some struggles, obviously, addiction struggles and everything, and we're supposed to work with people through those. He's dead now, of course. But anyway, I just think that's a good story. And, city council and even a lot of people got behind that. I think it's nice.
I agree. And all the left-wing loonies like Dan and Boone will be all, why do they have to have a stadium for that dick? But, he in this area, he's legend. The family is, done a lot for the people of the community, and that's how you get your name on a stadium.
Anyway, just a thought.
But yeah,
I know there was a lot of pushback with that, like, oh, he doesn't deserve it, and he was an asshole, and all this. But again, he was an asshole because he struggled with addiction. So,
I'm glad you cleared that up because I didn't know the story, but it's Doug Ford is the current premier of the province, and Rob Ford, of course, was his brother. Normally at this time, Toronto Mike joins us, and I have always played the Toronto Mike theme, but this week I picked out something different.
Bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle, bicycle, bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle.
Last week I met Toronto Mike, producer of the Humble and Fred Show, legendary podcaster, probably a featured speaker at South Wave Suck It Pod Festival. But last week Mike picked me up and we went for a bicycle ride together. And I would tell you before Boone weighs in, it was a thoroughly enjoyable experience. And I will have more to say once we get Michael on here. Hello, Michael.
Hello, everybody. I loved our bike ride, Howard. We did 18 kilometers together. We took Royal York down to the Waterfront Trail, and we took the Waterfront Trail east to the Humber Bay Arch Bridge, which is where Etobicoke and the Old Toronto are divided at the Humber River, and it was amazing, right?
Well, I want to say this because we often talk about how much work it is living in the city and traffic and congestion and stress, but that area that you took me to, I'd been there before, but our waterfront on the west end of the city is really something else. I mean, it was a beautiful sunny day, and just the people and the families and people were like kayaking, even though it's boring as hell. So I said to Boo, so people were kayaking around that bridge, and I'm like, yeah, they're enjoying themselves for 8 to 12 minutes before it becomes redundant. But it's
You're talking about that white, fancy-looking, modern-looking bridge.
Yeah. We were right on top of it. Why, you don't think people get bored kayaking in 8 to 12 minutes? I do.
They're probably thinking the same thing about us cyclists. Like, what's the difference?
Well, anyway, I just reminded me, beyond the exercise we got and how much fun it was, except for coming back up that hill, it was a lot for me that first day. But man, what a great city we live in. It really is something down there.
And as I said to you, Howard, right, so we get to the Humber Bay Bridge and then we turn around, but if you build up your endurance and you keep at it, you could go to BMO Field or Budweiser Stage or the Dome.
Yeah.
You could go to Ashbridges Bay.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I'll tell you what, it was something. I'll say this about...
Did your ass hurt?
No.
Yeah, did your ass hurt?
No. I've done enough biking, and I even before Mike took me on this ride, I've been biking around my neighborhood a few times a week. I was going to say, Boone, I went for a ride on my own after that, not that day, but I went up to Bloor and I came down Royal York again by myself. But I will say this about Mike, because we joke about Mike a lot, but I'll tell you, dudes, he's riding a single speed bike, so you can't fake.
Really?
You can't fake the gear change. And I was behind him coming up this hill that it goes. Basically, you're heading north on Royal York over the Gardiner, and I was getting close to having to stop the bike for me. And Boone is just nonchalant, man, just in great shape.
Mike, seriously, there's no gears on your bike?
My go-to ride is a Fuji Feather. It's a single speed, and that's what I prefer to ride. Yeah, that's what I ride.
Isn't that something? That's what we had as kids. Wow.
But it's a pretty
I
fancy...
I want to say to Howard, though, I'm sorry to interrupt, except to tell Howard that for a guy who's not doing 50K a day, to do an 18-kilometer ride like that, like I started at 5 to 10K, and then I built my way up. I think 18K is a hell of a ride for you, and you were really much faster than I thought you'd be, and I was really impressed.
Well, I had a great time. I tell you, I felt pretty good the next day, and a couple days later, I did probably a 5 or 6K. But what was something that Mike said, though, like if you did it every day, which I tend to start to do, I see how you would definitely build up your endurance. But I would say one last thing. You can say what you want about noticing another man's shape, but this Toronto Mike, dudes, he's got the calves of an athlete. Like when you see somebody, think about this. Boone has been riding like 1,000K a month for years now. So you can imagine what his lower body strength is like. When I say, like, I was getting to the point in that bridge, plus we were going against the wind. It was the end of the ride, so it's like in the second hour we've been riding, I was getting close to having to get off the bike and walk. When I and Mike didn't even have to. This is what impressed me. He didn't even have to stand up. He was just like looking around. I thought for a second maybe he's just going slow to humor me, but he was just kind of doing it so nonchalantly. It was really impressive. So I would love to do it again.
Yes, please.
I got to find a way to get up from the lakeshore where it's not that steep a hill next time. There's got to be a workaround that.
There is no workaround. Yeah, a bus. Because
exactly.
Toronto it's the lake. It's downhill to the lake. So that hill that you're worried about, I promise you, a couple of weeks of riding, you won't even notice you're going uphill because it's so gradual.
Yeah, not really. Not
you
for
won't
me.
notice.
When you guys ride, is it like you side by side so you can chat and get to know each other? Or is it behind each other?
Well, the bike lanes are pretty wide.
Oh, okay.
Mike also taught me the rules of the road, passing on the left, and Mike does the silly fucking bike signals, and all right, I'll do that too now.
Howard, what I would like you to do, and embrace this like you do many other things, become a great cyclist, and then we'll buy one of those little trailers that I'll sit in. Right? You could just tow me around town. What?
I would.
I'll sit in there and drink my Miller Lite, and you just tow me around the town.
Listen, next year, by this time, when we're invited to Soundwave 25, I'll bike you over there.
Are you guys going to bike in the naked thing then? Are you guys going to be a naked bike ride?
I don't think I could do it.
I heard this news story and I was thinking, what a perfect job for Dan Duran to be a naked. I'm talking about the naked news now.
Exactly.
What a perfect job for Dan. He's already playing anchors and news guys, and he probably looks amazing naked with that massive wang. Let's do it.
Yeah, he's got a built-in pointer.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When you're doing the weather, you can just look over at the naked chick, get a boner, and just start pointing to L'Orange.
Yeah, this is it, Dad. This is what you could do.
Perfect job for Dan.
Figure it out, Dad.
Figure it out, Dad.
Mike, does your sweet Monica, does she cycle with you at all?
Like a couple of weekends ago, she went to Marie Curtis Park with me and the two little kids. Like she does a little cycling, not near, like a little bit here and there, like a little.
But she loves those calves.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's not make Ian Service jealous, okay?
So yeah, when Monica's got to hang on when those things start to pump. I'm telling you right now.
Got a great ass.
Well, anyways, I'm going to do it again. We're going to hopefully go again, and. Yeah, I'm going to start to do it. I've gone a couple times since last Friday, and just whatever that is, I go all the way. I can get to Bloor without going on Islington, and then I go across Bloor to Royal York and down to the Queensway and home, and that takes about 25 minutes. So I'm going to start to do that. I
have a new recommendation for you because they've done an amazing job on Bloor Street. This is just over the last couple of years. So what I'd say, take Royal York, take the Bloor bike lane to High Park and noodle around High Park.
That's a long way to go.
I was doing this last night. I know when you build up to it, like not tomorrow, but
guys, understand this. Mike is cycling on average 40-ish plus kilometers a day. The day he took me, that was the third bike ride. You did probably 65K that day. That's ridiculous.
About 62. So I will say I measure my rides, so as you might know.
Right,
so
okay.
in this month of May, I'm at about 1,400 kilometers for the month of May. And
that's crazy, man. All right. Well, listen, that's a great week. Thanks to everybody that was on it. Jeff Merrick yesterday, Maureen Holloway. Thanks to all the people that emailed. And we are, I know we keep saying this, but we are dangerously close to revealing this thing that we've been talking about now for a couple months. Some final touches have been taken care of this week. I think we're all pretty happy with the way it's turned out. And we have to, I think the first week of June was when was our deadline, right? For the people that we're working with, right, Freddie?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So after we deliver whatever we're delivering for the people we're working with, we will at that point make an announcement, and you will be able to participate in this little Humble and Fred summer program in the not so distant future, probably around Canada Day. Okay.
Has anyone tried to guess what it is? Hundy Peas tried to guess?
We decided not to. I think didn't that come up at one point? We were going to say, hey, why don't you guess?
That would ruin the surprise.
That would ruin the surprise. Because the worst thing is when somebody guesses your guess. Like, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Just curious if anyone had emailed you with a guess.
You know what? You can email us if you have a guess, but we will not reveal it. Yeah, we won't reveal it on the show. But go ahead and email if you think you know what it is. Why don't you email us, and we'll find a way to talk around it. Anything to add there, Fred, man, before we shut it down?
No. That's pretty much it for the week. Yes,
new episode of Swing Thoughts will be out Saturday. Canadian Open this weekend.
I will just shout out two quick things really quick. One is that milestone episode 1500 of Toronto Mic'd will drop Friday, I believe.
Wow.
So that's kind of neat. And Niblet, I want to say thank you, Niblet, for the kind words, because he's talking about this great guy, Jerry, he introduced me to. Love Jerry. Love Niblet. That guy knows his shit. And he was alluding to my 50th, which is, everyone's invited to Great Lakes Brewery on June 27 from 6 to 9 p.m. And your first beer is on the house, and your pasta from Palma Pasta is complimentary. So come hungry, darling.
This will be like a 50th birthday celebration type.
That is actually my 50th birthday. Yes.
Yeah.
So
wow. And I'm going to bike over. I'm going to cycle over.
Yeah, a long ride for Howard.
It's not that bad. It's like, what is it, 6 minutes?
Oh, that's a joke. It's like less than a kilometer.
We need to get a helicopter sponsor for me.
I'm working on it. Yeah. I heard Maureen Holloway revealed some interesting things really quick. She has a salesperson. Yeah. She has a social media manager. She has a chase producer, and she has a production house that does the editing and everything.
That's a big staff.
Like, I was shocked, and she's talking about how she's only trying to break even, and but that was it's quite interesting to hear. Like, two very famous people with a podcast for 2 years, they have 4 people on the payroll besides themselves.
Mike, you should muscle in there. I'm sure you could do all that for
way less than what they're paying. A
fraction of the cost.
Of course I could, but Maureen is pretty loyal, I think, to this gentleman in Winnipeg.
Matt Gundel. Hey, you speaking of episodes, so you're up to 1,500. I mentioned that, when I used to joke around and say we were the most uploaded podcast. It's true, but what do you think? Where are we around? Because this fall will be 13 years that we've been doing it. So where are we? Around a couple thousand? Are we in the early 2000s?
You've got to be around, I'd say, early 2000s. And you know what? Let me do, because I kind of have an idea of when you were 5 days and 4 days and 3 days and time. I will do a rough estimate with an algorithm and come up with a number. Because I'm curious too.
Yeah, we were 5 days a week for a while until we started doing the serious show. We were 5 days a week.
I want to comment on something you said. I don't think there's a reasonable person, like a person who understands podcasts on any level. There isn't a single one who thinks you're not a podcast because you go live on Facebook.
No, I don't know. Well, all I know is that I think some people don't include us in the podcast category for various reasons.
Maureen Holloway.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Fred, are you done? Do you have something?
No. All good. All good.
Okay.
Getting used to, I say getting used to, but this is really officially week 1 of the 3-day week, so I'll see you in a few days.
Yeah, man. All right, everyone. Stay safe. Have a great Humble and Fred long weekend.
This episode of Humble and Fred was brought to you by the Retirement Sherpa, the Chambers Plan, Boron One, Bodog, and Lender's Choice Mortgages. For contests and comments, we read all of the emails. Humble and Fred at humbleandfredradio.com. Tell us what you think. Humble and Fred at humbleandfredradio.com. And you could also help us out by subscribing to the podcast, maybe sharing an episode. Rating the podcast would also be appreciated. For Humble and Fred from the Ray and Nancy McLeod Elder Zoom Theater featuring the Sean Martin's Lobby Bar, I'm Dan Duran. And remember, don't dilly when you dally, and change your sheets, and enjoy every goddamn day.
Turntables and a microphone, bottles and cans, or just clap your hands, or just clap your hands. Where's that?